Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, everyone. It is the 20th of January, Inauguration Day in the United States, where President Biden was just sworn in a little bit ago. Really want to take a look at some of the Canadian dollar pairs today. I have the pound loonie pulled up right now, but I want to take a look at the dollar loonie, do a little bit of a look over at what's going on here. So we've been in a downtrend with the US dollar Canadian dollar pair, the dollar loonie. We've been in this downtrend for 308 days. So getting close to a GAN cycle that would indicate some short-term buying pressure could occur. On the daily chart, this looks like a fairly consistent and persistent move. In fact, it looks like we could be entertaining a move further south. There is no real structural support near term here. In fact, we're trading where we were back in April of 2018. If we take a look at the weekly chart, similar scenario. Very fast move to the south. In fact, if we want to, we can take a look at like a yearly chart. And the yearly chart's pretty ugly. I mean, look at January of 2020 to end of December of 2020. I mean, this is a huge range. Now, it only closed down negative 1.97%. However, at one point, the US dollar Canadian dollar was trading up at 146.68, where it settled pretty much, went down all year round. It settled down 13.19% lower, 1,934 pips to the south side there. And it looks pretty ugly. That's a pretty wild sell-off that has occurred over the months. But looking at the weekly chart, we're seeing a lot of the same stuff go on here. Now, take a look at what's happening with price action relative to what is happening with the RSI and the composite index. There is a very clear wedge pattern here. The slope or the angle of this move south is very strong. And so that makes it interesting from a trading perspective, because these kinds of setups with these falling wedge patterns, they turn into very profitable setups, because when they finally do correct, they correct pretty fast and pretty violently. The problem is that because the slope is so extreme, it can just keep going too. So we look at the oscillators as a source of giving us another view of what's up ahead. Want to check the volume profile too. The volume profile is really just saying that it's easier to travel south. If it breaks 123.85, the US dollar Canadian dollar has an easier time moving down than it is up. There's actually some evidence of support between 126.37 and 124 even, but not much. But if we look at the oscillators below, what do we have going on here? Well, we're sitting just above the level 30 area, but we have a pretty flat RSI. The last time we traded down in this range was back in September of 2017. This is on the weekly chart. So we have a pretty flat level here. Now, patterns like pennants and flag patterns, triangles and rectangles, they are valid in oscillators just like they are on price action. And so we treat them the same too. So if I look over here, or however you want to draw this, there is a descending triangle. A descending triangle is an inherently bearish pattern. When it breaks, it continues to just drive further south. So on the weekly chart, this is set up and it's sitting right on a spot where we could see it drop fast, and that might be the end of the down drive. But we've got a couple issues going on here. So that's the weekly RSI. Well, let's look at the weekly composite index, right below it. We're noticing some divergence here. So depending on how this week closes, I mean, from the low here to where the current close is, we've got lower lows. From that same trough on the composite index to where we are now, we have higher lows. Now the entry to go long on a weekly chart, as far as this is concerned, I mean, I guess it's not sufficient enough to determine an entry, but if it does happen, that is a really strong signal, is when the composite index, the red line, moves above either the orange or the green line. Those are the fast and slow moving averages of the composite index. That's what we'd be looking out for. But we have the oscillators really, excuse me, they are congesting quite a bit, and they just be careful for some upside pressure. But if we do move south, if we create a newer low in the RSI on the weekly chart, and we see the composite index break down below this trough, and we see the percent B cross down below point. Well, one second, I got to set that up there. 0.8 and 0.2. Well, it's actually been down below 0.2 for a while. Never mind. Just be aware that any move to the south will probably be very fast, and the time that it'll be, in that kind of a continuation move south will be fairly limited. Cycle-wise, seasonality-wise, and then according to our oscillators and some final support levels in the volume profile, just be on the lookout for some higher prices in the US dollar, Canadian dollar. Didn't want to take up too much time here. Want to talk about the pound loonie as well. What I'm looking for in the pound loonie is some type of divergence that would occur between the composite index and the RSI, but where the RSI is at, it's sitting in the level 50 range. If you look above, if we just actually maximize the chart here, I mean, this is a range, man. Right here. This is definition of a range. I don't want to know how far back you go, but if we scroll all the way out on the weekly chart and we put the volume profile on here, I mean, the volume that's been traded in this price zone is pretty heavy. It's pretty equal to. So if we're looking for a breakout of this structure, we need to look to the oscillators for that hint. We need to see some pretty clear divergence between the RSI and the composite index. So they've got a shared trough. They don't have shared peaks. We do have slightly hidden bearish divergence. That still doesn't count though. But look at what we have going on here right now. We have this low from 2 weeks ago. And then when we move to the right, one candlestick, what happened? The RSI slid up and the composite index slid lower. This could generate some hidden bullish divergence if this composite index level drops below the trough from back here. So just be aware of that. Those hidden divergences, when they show up, especially when something's been congested, it can be a really strong signal of some upside potential. So just keep your eye out for that. Take a look at a lot of these loonie pairs, because a lot of them could see a lot of activity here in the very near future. Thank you for watching this video, and from all of us here at Exchange Rates UK TV, don't forget to like and subscribe.